welcome back to the Gray Space. I'm Zeke. That is Dre.
Yepers.
And we are back with another fire show for you guys this week.
Okay.
I really wanted to say interview. I almost messed that one up. We don't have an interview.
It's all good. We ain't here. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Make sure you subscribe to become part of the tribe. Do us right. Hit that like, comment because you are loving the content.
You know what? Screw you, man.
Hit us with a review if you listening, and hit that link tree. Follow us everywhere.
Yeah, follow us everywhere, baby.
Now,
you a little punk over
come
there.
on. So, I have a question.
You suck.
I ate one of them foreign green bell peppers. Yeah, babe. I want to talk about this acronym. GOAT.
Goats.
GOAT. Greatest of all time.
Of all time.
It's very interesting. It is a argument that spans across multi platforms.
Oh yeah.
Whether it be music, whether it be movies, whether it be sports. And I want to ask this, man. Mm-hmm. Do we, especially today, use the term GOAT too freely and loosely? And can we at least give people time to become GOATs in their especially in
their respective field.
Respective fields, especially in I say across the board. I was going to say with sports in general.
I think sports. Go ahead. I think sports in general, you probably use it more than anything else.
For sure.
I really do. I think probably right behind that is probably music.
For sure.
But I think sports more often than not gets thrown around
I feel
a
like
little bit more.
In acting, like you almost have to put your time in.
With acting, you're in your.
You might be in your 60s before they even start talking about being the GOAT.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And I want to say something with sports in general.
Yeah.
Right? Like let's start there. Let's start with sports real quick because I think sports is an interesting one, right? Mm-hmm. Because you have, let's take football for instance, right?
Right.
And you have somebody who has an amazing 2 years. Mm-hmm. And you go, GOAT. He is the GOAT.
The GOAT.
And you're like, bro, it's been 2 years. Is he doing great? Yeah.
Right.
And it could be a running back. Dude, pick a position. It doesn't matter, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it really doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. And look at, man, even a GOAT has bad years. And I'm not saying, like, they can't have a bad year.
That's a fact.
But what I'm saying is you got to let them have their career and at least have years under their belt. What that looks like, I don't know, right? Like, I think that can be a give and take a little bit, especially with sports in general, right? Because what if you have an amazing 2 years, get hurt, blown out, your knee blown out, whatever, right? And then they never play again. Mm-hmm. They were really good, but you can't put a GOAT on them. I'm sorry. I mean, it sucks that they got hurt, but you can't put GOAT on them.
Right.
You can't because they only played 3 seasons.
Right.
The first year they were a rookie and they did all right, but year 2 and 3 they did amazing, and then year 4 they got hurt and never played again.
Right.
It was just a great player. It's an unfortunate thing because you don't know what the outcome was years past that.
So we had a conversation before and we talked about classics.
Yeah.
And I just thought about this. And I think this is kind of a similar conversation. Like, what constitutes a GOAT? Because
I have one word that just popped in my head for whatever reason. Consistency.
Okay, cool.
Go ahead.
Let's start with that.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Let's start with that. So, consistency for how long?
Okay. Yeah, I do.
Because does longevity? Because what's the conversation, right? So let's just say let's go in the Jordan, Bron, that conversation.
Okay.
That's the biggest one, I think, in sports. Who's the GOAT, right? Is it Jordan or is it Bron? I personally have Kobe more in that conversation.
Right.
In my personal feelings, he's in that conversation as well. But what constitutes a GOAT? Because longevity, if those two are a factor, consistency and longevity, LeBron is undeniably the GOAT.
Okay, so I want to preference when I say consistency.
Okay.
I don't mean consistency in the amount of time.
Okay.
I don't mean it in that context. I mean consistency in the way that you do and what you do and what you produce out of that.
Okay.
Right? So you could have an 8-year career and have the best consistency. You should be in the running for GOAT.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like
consistently great.
Consistently great.
Okay.
And again, like I said about somebody who, again, we'll say LeBron. Has LeBron had bad years? Okay, well, let me put it to you this way. No. I wouldn't say bad years, but has he had off years where he's been good? He's been consistent, right. But he's maybe not at that level of
LeBron. LeBron's bad years have been a lot of people's great years.
Again, proving a point in the sense of he's had bad years, right? And he would probably, if he was sitting in this chair, he would probably say, "Oh man,
that was a rough one.
12 was terrible,
right,
for me because I kind of had a little bit of an injury, you know,
right,
and then 14 wasn't that great, but then after that, I think I kicked it up and not whatever it is, however he would say that, right? Okay, and I think, but I think he's been consistent." Throughout all those years,
but
consistently putting up numbers, consistently doing the things that he's been doing. The same is with Jordan. The same is with Kobe, right?
Now here's the thing, though. Is Charles Barkley a GOAT? And I don't mean a Hall of Famer, bro. There's a lot of Hall of Famers.
And no, I don't believe Charles Barkley is a GOAT.
Not the GOAT. I'm saying a GOAT.
Right.
When you say the GOAT, that's always up for debate. The GOAT, the greatest of all time,
right.
is up for debate. No. To me, it all depends on what era and when you watched it. And
True.
Because there's people that are going to sit here and be like, Bill Russell's the GOAT. And I'm like, I can't tell you that. Because I can tell you that I watched Michael Jordan and I watched Kobe both in their prime. I was old enough to watch both of them, right? Mm-hmm. I was young when I watched Mike, but I was still old enough to know what I was seeing. Mm-hmm. And then I grew up with Kobe. Mm-hmm. And then LeBron was kind of in my later teen years. You know what I'm saying? We're kind of around the same age. So, he entered the league, I was like a junior or senior in high school or something like that, right? So I've kind of grown up with LeBron, but it's been different because, I looked at Kobe, I looked at Mike a little different, and I was able to see their greatness from a different perspective. But when I'm saying a GOAT, you don't think Charles Barkley is a GOAT? A GOAT? Because then if you go, let's flip it to the NFL, bro. Is LaDainian Tomlinson a GOAT?
I like LT a lot, though, bro.
Now it becomes subjective.
Yeah, it does.
It becomes subjective. Mm-hmm. I also think it's about where you peaked at. Is Calvin Johnson a GOAT?
No.
He's not.
No.
See, for a lot of people, he is.
No, I'm sorry, dude.
Because great he was when he was great, people say.
No, I'm going to tell you something because I'm a Lions fan. You know this. I'm a Lions fan. I know. I've been watching the Lions since I was a kid. Mm-hmm. And I liked them because of Barry Sanders. This is why they've been my team. I stuck with them, even though I should have abandoned a long time ago. Mm-hmm. Calvin Johnson did make amazing one. You threw a ball at his chest. He couldn't catch the damn ball. He's not a GOAT. Sorry, I just don't.
So
see
is
it.
Larry Fitzgerald? Okay, go ahead.
Hold on.
Sorry.
That's the consistency problem I have with.
Okay, fair enough.
So I will retract what I said about Charles Barkley because he was consistent in his playing ability.
In his prime, bro, he was one of the best five players in the league, bro.
So, yes, correct. Larry Fitzgerald, 100% GOAT.
100%.
100%. There's no question about it.
When people talk about best receivers of all time, they don't put him in that conversation. A lot of people don't put him in that conversation.
I don't know why you wouldn't.
To me personally, I have him number 3. Me personally.
Okay, but still,
I have Jerry.
He's still a GOAT, though. He's a
GOAT.
And I think that you brought up a point. Finish your top 3, sorry.
No, you're good. I have Jerry, I have Randy, and I have Larry.
Okay.
Those are my top 3. And I have Michael Irvin right there.
Okay.
Those are my top 4. I have Chris Carter right there as well.
I was going to say Chris Carter.
I have Chris Carter right there as well.
Carter
for sure.
Tippy-toe.
I watched him.
He was the tippy toe guy.
Yeah.
Man. Holy cow, man. That tippy toe stuff.
But okay.
Anyways,
so, go ahead.
Yeah. A GOAT. Correct. Right? Like, I think, but again, you let these guys play throughout the years, right? And you've watched them. They became a GOAT of what they did, right? Now, the thing with running backs, though, LT, because you brought up LT, right? His career was short. I mean,
so was Barry Sanders, though, bro.
Again, running backs don't last that long in the league.
Right.
They just don't. I mean,
but you know who gets glossed over all the time is AP, bro.
Unless you're an Emmett Smith or something. So,
yeah, Emmett Smith.
But I mean,
But Adrian, people forget how great Adrian Peterson was, and they don't have him in that conversation.
Yeah, but he was.
And Adrian Peterson was great for a long time, bro.
No, he was very consistent. Again,
he was great in Minnesota and then was still damn good in Arizona, bro. Like, and people still okay. So part of the reason I even thought about this conversation is because I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna have to put the pause on it. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
One of my favorite positions in football growing up was the tight end. Shannon Sharps, the Tony Gonzalez, the Antonio Gates, man. These guys were incredible.
Oh, Antonio Gates, man.
I remember, like, shortly into Gronkowski's career, right? They were like, yo, he's the GOAT. And then now with Travis Kelce, who's uber talented, bro, and might at some point be the GOAT. He can't be the GOAT because he's not done playing, bro. He cannot.
Okay, but
here's why. It's a different.
How long has Kelsey been in the league?
I can't tell you that off top of that.
Like, just if you could get
at least 6 years, I want to say.
That's we're getting really close though to being like, dude. He's been consistent for 6 years. Like,
no, he's been He's been amazing.
But I agree with you in a sense.
But can I personally put him? And it is subjective.
Yeah.
But can I personally put him above Tony Gonzalez, Shannon Sharp, Antonio Gates? These guys that I watched play when nobody was passing the ball to tight ends back then. Nobody.
Right.
And these guys were consistently putting up numbers. I mean, now the old heads are gonna argue with me and say Kellen Winslow. You know what I'm saying? And talk about other guys from the past. But to me, I watched, like, Shannon Sharp in today's NFL would cook breakfast, brunch, lunch, dinner, and dinner.
Yeah.
And have room for dessert, dog. Tony Gonzalez in today's would have put up stupid numbers.
Right.
And that's not to discount anything from Travis Kelce. The guy is always open. He's always, it's like, how the fuck is he always, he's always open. But can we, like, to say he's the greatest of all time because he's had a great few years. He's had a great 4 years.
And I want to bring this around to music.
Okay.
Because I think the same can be applied for people in bands or just single artists, whatever, solo artists, whatever.
Right.
Even guitar players, drummers, whatever it is, right? you got to let it play out. Because just because somebody is, I think, when it comes to music, talented enough to play an instrument, or even vocals, I believe, is an instrument, right? You're using your own instrument.
For sure, 1,000%.
It doesn't matter that you can just play or that you can just sing, right? It's what you do with it. And if you're not producing anything with it, you ain't a GOAT. You're not in the running. I'm sorry. Just because you could do awesome licks on the guitar and do great fills on a drum, and you can vibrato and stuff like that with your voice, don't mean you can construct songs very well. I'm just saying, because I know there's certain guitar players that I like that are probably okay to certain people, but I find them good because they can write music.
Okay.
They might not be able to go, all that stuff. You know what I mean? Or maybe they can. Maybe they just don't do it because they're that shit don't sound good in my music. Now, can it be good to like a heavy metal song or something like that? Of course.
Right.
Or jazz, where they go off and do riffs, and of course. But what I'm saying is you still need the longevity of it. This is where longevity comes in for music for me. So that, because you can't just put out a one hit wonder's not a GOAT.
Right.
You created something that everybody will love for till the end of time. For whatever reason, it hit every check mark box for damn near everybody.
So a one hit wonder's not a GOAT.
No, not even.
Not even if your peak. That's what I'm at. So that's what I'm asking, bro. Is if your peak, right? Your peak is so freaking incredible that even though it's
you're great for that time period for sure. But you ain't. No, you can't. No, man, I'm sorry. You can't put that in the same conversation, dude. That's a different conversation.
So okay. So now seriously, bro, we got to have this conversation. So that being said, bro, Biggie and Pac are not GOATs.
Okay, I just heard. I think it was Tyler, the Creator, if I'm not mistaken.
Based on what you just said.
No, I know.
Okay.
I hear you. I hear
I'm going to end. No, I'm just playing. Go ahead.
I hear you. I think Tyler, the Creator, actually made a good point about this, right? And I don't know if this applies or not, but I think it's relevant to a conversation, because I think when it he was talking about GOATs. He was talking about lists that people put people in, right? And he was like, I don't care if you put me in there or not.
Right.
He was like, I love Jamiroquai. And he goes, guarantee half of you people don't even know who Jamiroquai is.
Who that is.
Who is that? Damn, he goes, it's so subjective, right? He goes, because what do people always say? They go, Biggie and Pac. He goes, I don't have Pac in mind. He goes, because I was too young. I didn't listen to him.
That's true.
And I think he has a point in a sense. I'm not saying to discount Pac or Biggie, right? Because they did, and then I think it's different because they have had an impact through hip hop. And the impact, I think, follows through with whatever we're talking about.
The impact is big time.
The impact can be movies related as well. Like somebody does a role and you're like, I can't believe that person took that there.
They got 3 good movies, but them 3 hit.
And then you can say the same thing for music, and I can even say the same thing for sports.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think that was a really interesting point. And I kind of want to say this before I forget about saying this. I think we should stop using the word GOAT.
Okay.
Because I think it's fine for you. You just listed off 3 receivers, right? Your top 3 receivers. Yep. I guarantee you 99% of people will never agree with you on that list. They might have Jerry Rice at number 1, but 2 and 3 are probably so different than what you have.
Right.
And maybe Jerry Rice is number 5 for somebody for whatever reason. again, it's subjective. It's what you grew up with. It's what you saw. If you were talking to somebody who lived, back in the 60s and 70s during football, I don't know the players back then, but maybe you're like, man, this guy, when he played, he's my number one player of all time. So it's very subjective. I think when you put the context of this is my opinion, this is who I believe, I think it should genuinely be your opinion. And I don't think you should be personally attacked for your personal opinion.
For sure.
Like
1,000%.
saying, I have this person and this person and this person is my top three of whatever it is.
Yeah.
They are my GOATs.
Yeah.
What I will say is I don't believe that should be done in specific media like ESPNs and Fox Sports and stuff like that. I think that needs to be taken out of that conversation.
And I think if you're going to do it, you should do it through.
Well, you shouldn't even say GOAT. You should just say, man, keep an eye on this kid, right? Like, this kid's going to have one hell of a career.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's
see what he produces. Because his past season, look at these stats, whatever it is.
I'm changing the acronym, bro. It's still GOAT.
Okay.
GOTE.
Okay.
The greatest of that or this era. However you want to say it. GOT. I'm creating my own, the greatest of that era. Right?
I actually like that because I think that's, first of all, human beings have one of the greatest gifts and one of the greatest curses in humanity. And that's, we forget everything, bro. We do.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's written down or not. Like, can you remember 20 years ago? You were alive 20 years ago.
Right.
Do you remember everything 20 years? Seriously. No, we don't. We have severe amnesia. We pick and choose what we want.
That's true.
That's so true. When you saw Jerry Rice 20 years ago playing, and probably longer than that at this point, you remember specific things.
Yeah, man. I remember Michael Irvin, man, when I was a kid. Yeah, for sure.
And that's why you hold him in high regard.
Yep.
It's the same with
Randy Moss when I was a kid.
We do the same thing with music, right?
Yeah.
90s
for sure.
90s is my era, bro.
Yeah.
It's my era.
Biggie and Pac, they're in my list.
I love it. But if people don't have Biggie and Pac in it, people shouldn't be upset about that. Because
I agree.
Because you didn't grow up with that. Especially with, like, kids just don't grow up with certain things. You could be introduced to it later and go, oh, that's awesome.
Right.
That's really good music. Or show a reel of Jerry Rice catching. If you are not there in the moment, I'm sorry, it's just different.
It is.
It's just different, bro. You weren't there to live it. Now, can you rewatch it and re-listen to it? Of course you can. You can appreciate it and go, awesome.
Well, yeah, it's the same way.
But I still have Calvin Johnson as my number one because I saw him catch these amazing catches.
That's true.
I don't think so, but I'm just saying, like.
Yeah, and it's like, for me, like, I didn't watch Magic Johnson growing up.
Oh, yeah, I loved Magic. I loved seeing him.
I didn't watch him.
Yeah, and you didn't. And
he was right before my time of watching
exactly. And
ball.
I was really young when he was out. So I
but I still have him as a GOAT because I know what he did. I never watched him in real time. Now, to that point,
you might have him as number one, though, if you grew up in that time.
True. And there's a lot of people that say Kareem, like there's people that'll sit here and argue with you like, y'all talking about all these other dudes, man. Kareem had the most unstoppable shot of all time. And I can't argue that. Is he a GOAT? For sure. Is he the GOAT?
Yeah.
But you can argue all day. Like, you can argue all day.
I think your GOTE is
greatest of that era, man.
Because I do think a lot of
Steph Curry is a GOAT, bro.
But I really like that term because of the fact that that is so good for things change, man. I'm sorry. The sport of whatever has changed. Basketball's not the same as it was in the 90s, dude. I'm sorry, no. It's just not.
Hell no.
And I don't know if Jordan would be as good in this era or not.
A lot of people say he would, but who knows?
I don't know. You just don't know.
It's a totally different game.
It's a what if, right?
Come on, man.
But again, in that era, he's top dog, bro. Like I'm sorry, there's nothing about like but again, you pushed him back into the 60s or whatever, he probably would have been terrible. Or put him in 2010, he might have been terrible. I'm not saying he would.
Right.
I'm just saying.
In the 60s, he would have cooked them motherfuckers. Come on,
I'm just saying, though, you just don't know. It's a what if game. But the era that they're in, and they talk about lightning in a bottle that they captured, in their perspective field, and you could say the same thing about music, right?
Yeah,
like something can be timeless in music, but when did it hit? It hit in the 90s or hit in the 80s, 70s, whatever it is, right? And you're like, you had to have been there. It was different. You don't understand. The song you're listening to, you might like it, and you might like it a lot, but you don't understand what it did to people around, everybody at the parties, at the whatever, you know, and you know, it just kind of goes on, and you're like, I don't have that perspective.
Yeah.
I wasn't around for it.
Yeah, I wasn't there.
So GOTE,
greatest
I really like that because I think I like that. And I really do. I really want to drive this one point home again.
Yeah, for sure.
And that is the media. And I don't know because I don't watch a lot of ESPN. As a matter of fact, I only watch it here.
Right. That's a fact.
So, I mean, you know, I don't even have those channels anyways. So anyways, but what I'm saying is, like, I don't know if media personalities are using that. Like,
oh, they use that to stir up some shit.
And again, I really think that should be taken out. Now, if it's like in a podcast form and some dudes are just around talking and they want to put up that, fine. But when you're kind of doing like news, like, hey, this is going on, this is happening, this person is, you know, and you're just talking about the sport and you're talking about all the different teams and the positions and what they're doing and the stats and all that stuff, that's what it should be. And it should be up to you what you see and what you interpret as, oh, that dude, that's my guy, that's my girl right there. You know what I mean? Like, that should be all subjective because you are going to be subjective.
I do want to say this. I think that going forward, and I think this has been talked about a lot, I think any list, I think any Hall of Fame process, it should be heavily dictated by those who were in the field. Reporting on it, and this is no disrespect, you can have years and years of reporting on, and you can have the knowledge. Game, recognize, game. There's a lot of people who are not in Hall of Fames, who are not a part of the list, who players will tell you, y'all tripping. And it's because you didn't like them. Because y'all painted a narrative. It took T.O. years to get in the Hall of Fame. Barry Bonds is still not in the Hall of Fame. And they're GOATs. And there's no argument about it. Mark McGwire is a GOAT. And he's a Hall of Famer. Period. These guys are Hall of Famers and they're GOATs. So all you little pencil pushing ass motherfuckers out here, I was gonna say something else. All y'all out here, we need the people that were in the field, bro, because they know the game. I'm not saying that reporters and stuff like that don't know it, but I'm saying that they can't possibly understand it as well as the people that were in the field. Right. Period. End of story.
Yeah.
No, man.
Yeah, I got you. We even do a end of the year. Our top 10 albums of that particular,
and it's mad subjective.
It is so subjective, but that's the point of doing those, right? And it's
our top 10.
It's our opinion on
our
it.
Personal top 10.
Yeah, and again, it goes to your personal, like, man. Yeah, I really like what I'm seeing from this person, you know. Yeah. So yeah, just change it to GOTE, would you?
Yeah, and we the GOATs, man.
Well, we are the GOATs. You guys already know that.
What did I do that? Bye. You fucking GOATs, man.
Oh, man. We got to get up out of here, man. You guys stay safe. You guys stay positive out there.
And as always, this is the Gray Space. Peace.